Good morning, everyone. Another day, another sleigh. Those are words that I immediately regret saying, but we're going with it. So for this vlog, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my YouTube channels, Nobilis Studios. I have 3 YouTube channels. The first one is the one that you're watching this VOD on right now. The second one is my Twitch VOD re-uploads, Silvitrine Twitch. And the third one is Nobilis Studios, which is where all of my animated work goes now. I used to make like animated shorts, and I use the word animated very loosely because only the lips were like animated, and sometimes I don't even do that anymore. But I used to put these like animated shorts up once a week, and the whole idea was that I would get a little bit of a sizable like following so that by the time my animated pilot comes out, there's already an audience waiting to watch it. Sorry, my cat. Oh, he's going outside. I can't show you the outside. So yeah, I used to upload one animated short a week, and I did that very consistently for a while, and it ended up with 216 subscribers. But the thing is, I used to make all of my animations in bulk. So what I did was I would spend an entire month making these shorts, and by the end of the month I had 6 months worth of content, considering that one would go up every week. And then it ran out, and I've been struggling to get back on that grind ever since. So starting today, once a week, I'm going to dedicate a day just to making reels. Realistically, I should be able to make 2, maybe 3 reels in one sitting, which will eventually build up a really nice buffer for me. But because I can't do what I used to do and just spend an entire month doing nothing but making reels, I kind of have to split it up like this. So that's what this VOD's going to be about. So this is the channel. As you can see, it's really small. There's 216 subscribers, and there's less than a year's worth of videos, provided that I upload once a week. And I used to do this pretty regularly. I used to put a lot of Forget-Me-Not and the Faeries Tale animated shorts, and even though people don't necessarily know who these characters are, a lot of them were perceived pretty well. Granted, like given the account size, you know what I mean. But I really want to hop back on this because it's just fun, you know? It's just some jolly good fun. So basically what I usually do is I will send myself clips with audio that I like and that I would like to animate, but usually what happens is I end up doom scrolling for hours, and then I don't end up finding anything in these clips that I actually want to animate at this given moment, so I end up doom scrolling through actual Instagram reels, and then I get lost in the algorithm and it just doesn't really work out. But I recently found this website called Anim Audios, and apparently there's like a whole library of short audio clips that you can pick from. So instead of doom scrolling Instagram reels, I'm gonna doom scroll this audio website, and we'll see what I can find. Okay, so I did actually end up going back to Instagram because the website was really cool. It just didn't have anything that really jumped out to me. And I did manage to land on 2 audio clips. They're both really short. This is the first one. The first one is like 143 frames running at like 24 frames a second. So really short. The other one is about the same length. So I'm going to do these 2 today. And unfortunately, I won't be able to do this the whole day because I have stuff related to my comic that I have to do, which is not going to be a part of this vlog, but it'll probably be part of a different vlog that I upload. But for now, let's get animating. right, the time is now 2:18. I finished one of the reels that I was doing. It's taken me a really long time because I kept getting distracted and doing things that I didn't need to do, and realistically I shouldn't have done, but that's what ADHD brain does to you. One of those things being I set up a throne because I've been streaming for a long time now, and I have a couple of viewers that like to buy me things for my birthday, and my birthday is coming up, so I was like, okay, this year, if you guys want to buy me stuff, I have a list that you can pick from. So I ended up doing that. I ended up talking to a commissioner about doing a little bit of extra work for them. And I just kept getting distracted. I kept doing other things. But one of these reels is done. It's now time for lunch. I'm not going to sit up here because my cat's taking a nap on the only chair that we have. So I'm probably going to go like sit in the living room, but I'm just going to really, really quickly eat this and then try and get another reel done, because normally I would have 2 done by now. And then I would be able to sit and relax and actually enjoy my lunch. But because I fell so far behind, I kind of have to get this going before the stream starts. But at least one of them is done. So let's enjoy lunch for a bit. Alright, it's the next day. I finished the 2 reels that I was working on yesterday. I've scheduled them so they're all ready to go. And today's my half day, so I was debating whether or not I start another reel or if I work on a passion project, which is what I was supposed to be doing yesterday. I chose to do the reels instead. And I'm gonna do a little bit of the Faeries Tale, which is my animated pilot. Animated is in quotations, of course, because 1, I really love this project, but 2, I think there's some things that I want to talk about regarding the project, and that's kind of how it's not fully animated. Like it's basically a glorified animatic. So first of all, there are going to be scenes that are fully animated. These are ones that I had already finished all the line art for. You know, there's no point in going back and, you know, doing a non-animated variant of these because they just need to be colored and then they're done. So the first instance is this fight scene that happens at the start of the first episode. There's also one scene later on, I believe, I'm looking at my chart, I believe it's scene 4 and 5. There's some stuff going on with Kuro and his brother, and those are fully animated, like full line art's already been done already, so I figure may as well keep those fully animated as well. But all the other scenes are going to be done in this basically glorified animatic format where there's no real animation between frames. There's going to be like lip sync, like there's still going to be lip sync movement, but for the most part it's just going to be stills. And the reason for that is I started this project, I think 2, maybe even 3 years ago, and this isn't my only project. Like if this was the only thing I was working on day in and day out, then I probably could fully animate it. But I've got this, I've got my graphic novel, I've got my shop, I've got like commission work, I've got like animated reels for the YouTube page that I'm eventually going to put this animated pilot onto, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's just tipping the surface. So I figure I want to prioritize getting the story out there over the quality of the animation. And funnily enough, I owe it to this show right here, 12 by Pet Peeves. I remember I put this on in the background maybe like a year ago while I was working on my graphic novel, and I realized that like this is a show from like I think 2013. 8 years ago, so it's a pretty old show. And the voice acting is there, the story is there, and it's basically just these like sliding stills. And even though the art quality is not fantastic, even though it's not animated, even though the voice acting is amateur, I ended up falling in love with this series, and I figured if a series like this can make me fall in love with it with very little animation whatsoever, then I feel like I can do it with my work here. The sad thing is, even though I had this revelation a year ago, I decided not to go through with it until maybe like last month. So I've only just started like actually putting the pieces together in order to do the Faeries Tale in this glorified animatic style. I'm still not sure what to call it. But now that I've finally decided that this is the style we're going for, I'm really, really hoping that the episode can be done by the end of the year, because the animation quality is not going to be good. I hope that the art quality can make up for that, and more importantly, I hope that the story can come across, because if I can get away with doing the whole series in this style, then I could probably get the whole series done relatively quick. Like, the goal is to have the first season done before I turn 30, but I'm turning 25 this year, so I don't really know how that's going to play out. But, you know, we got to try. We got to try. I realize that I've talked a lot about my graphic novel series Forget Me Not on this channel previously, but I have never once mentioned this story known as the Faeries Tale, so I figured I would use this clip of me working on the project as an excuse to talk about it a little bit with you guys. So, if you're a real OG, and I mean real OG, like from my DeviantArt days, you'll remember a project that I used to have known as Noble Blood, which I did a whole bunch of artwork for. I had started animating. I actually got a decent way into animating this pilot, and then in 2018, shit happened and the project flopped. I had abandoned the characters and the premise of Noble Blood for a good couple of years because I didn't want anything to do with the characters anymore, but over time I developed a little bit of nostalgia for them and a little bit of fondness, and when I looked back at the Noble Blood story, it was incredibly flawed and unnecessarily convoluted, but a lot of the characters still had a really deep fondness in my heart, so I kind of just scooped them up and added them to a new project, which is the Faeries Tale. The story of the Faeries Tale follows 4 characters that I scooped up from that original Noble Blood project, known as Kuro, Alida, Pandora, and Jimmy, along with a new character, Mother. The general plot of the Faeries Tale is that Mother runs an orphanage in this quaint little village, and Pandora is the oldest child in that orphanage, and she basically acts as a second parent to the children there. Mother is absolutely obsessed with these allegedly mythical creatures that went extinct millennia ago, known as the fairies. Pandora is basically Mother's right-hand man in terms of running the orphanage and constantly seeks Mother's approval, so she also adopts this fascination with fairies and fairy culture. She helps Mother with her project in attempting to recreate fairy magic based on ancient scriptures that they find related to what the fairies would have been like while they were still around. Kuro, on the other hand, is a pretty firm non-believer in the concept of fairies. He doesn't think they were real. He thinks they're a creature made up years ago for someone's either creative project or to scare children. He's not entirely sure. All he's sure about is that they never existed. They were fake beings. He's also a bit of a floater. He doesn't have any real goals or ambitions for his life or his future, and that's put a bit of a strain on his relationship with his brother Jimmy, who is always bending over backwards trying to get him new jobs and new gigs and something that will give him a bit of a goal, only for Kuro to work it at max a month and then quit and go back to being a floater. So I'm sure you can imagine the chaos that would ensue if fairy non-believer Kuro leaves his town one day to get some peace and quiet and stumbles across an alleged fairy princess known as Alida. That's all I can really say about the general premise of the show. Kuro and Pandora, one who believes in fairies, one who doesn't, meet a fairy princess known as Alida, and what they decide to do with her in terms of exposing her to the village and their culture, or keeping her safe and hidden away from people who might have ulterior motives, is kind of just where we're at the moment. Obviously, I have ideas for future episodes, and I have a blueprint for what I want the entire first season of this show to look like, including mid-season finale and season finale, which I'm really excited to get to because those plot lines have been in the making for years. But like I said previously, I can't reveal too much at the moment. I do have a Blue Sky where I'm planning to slowly drip feed more content related to the Faeries Tale. So if you're interested in this, not only should you follow me on Blue Sky, but you should also pin the Faeries Tale feed that I have made. I have 4 custom feeds on my account at the moment. One is for Snooze, which I will get to in a future VOD, but for now you don't need to know what they are. The Faeries Tale, which is this project here. Forget Me Not, which is my graphic novel series that I've already talked about a lot on this channel and will continue to talk about in the future. And also a Nobilis Studios feed, which will cover both Forget Me Not and the Faeries Tale. So if you want both in the same place, you can just download that feed. It's very embarrassing to admit, but actually the main point that made me want to bring this show back to life, because I had notes of stuff that I wanted to salvage from Noble Blood, but I had never actually committed to making a new project. I was very, very focused on Forget Me Not at the time. But the one thing that pushed me to create this series is, of all things, League of Legends. There was a music video from a League of Legends band who I believe is called True Damage. I don't know any of the characters that are in the band because I have never played League of Legends before ever, but I know one of the rappers was Echo. And I don't know why that song, Giants, that they did was like a brain worm in my head. It was the driving force that made me start the Faeries Tale again. I have no idea why. It just was. And when Arcane came out, that didn't help. That didn't help at all. I was like, okay, this song's really good. It's given me a bit of a kick. Maybe I should start working on like actually making a show with these characters. And then Arcane came out and I was like, oh my fucking God, now I have to do this now. I have to do this now. I'm very excited to finally have this episode done. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. But the upsetting thing about having already taken as long as I have taken is the VAs who volunteered for this project might not even want to continue doing this project anymore, which, to be fair, they volunteered, so they don't have to continue volunteering. But I may have to replace some of the existing VAs, which is something that I've been thinking about for a really long time, and I'm not entirely sure what to do about it. Ideally, this pilot episode would get enough traction for me to be able to, at the very least, crowdfund some funding for the voice actors so that they're no longer volunteers, but they're actually paid employees, which I'm hoping will incentivize some of the old VAs to stick around, because it took a really long time for me to decide who was going to voice who, and I'm really, really happy with who I've picked. I'm sure there will be some who continue to volunteer out of the goodness of their heart, and I will forever appreciate the voice acting community, not just the voice actors that I've picked for this project, but the voice acting community as a whole. They're full of so many loving, passionate people who are willing to volunteer their voice, and it's people like you that make projects like the Faeries Tale come to life, even when we don't have the budget to create what we need. I am a firm believer that people have every right to spend their time and their talents doing whatever they would like to do, and so the fact that these people continue time and time again to use their free time and their talents to provide for projects with no monetary compensation is a godsend. Please, please be respectful to any voice actors that you work with. That being said, even though there may be a couple of VAs that will continue to volunteer for the project, I would like from episode 2 onwards to be able to pay them for their work. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to go about that. I might do a Kickstarter, I might do a GoFundMe, I might just pray that my Etsy shop makes enough money to not only sustain itself, but to sustain my other projects, which might be a bit of a stretch, but it's not entirely impossible. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do about that, because I don't make money off of these episodes. I don't make money off of the Nobilis Studios reels. I don't make money off of these videos. My main source of income at the moment, because I'm currently physically disabled and awaiting surgery, is Twitch payouts, which I only get one every 2 months, and it's not a lot, and my Etsy store, which is only producing enough to sustain and expand itself. It's not enough to pay my bills or anything, so I'm about to hop onto a disability pension, and I'm not sure if that will be enough to support me and also support these voice actors that I want to work with. It's not something that I have to worry about right now because I'm still working on the pilot, but it is something that I will have to worry about as soon as the pilot episode is done and we progress into future episodes. So it's just something that's been on my mind a little bit as a struggle of an indie creator. But yeah, tangents about inspiration and voice actors aside, this is a bit of a tonal shift from my graphic novel, Forget Me Not. People who know about it or have read it will know that it's a little bit more of a mature story. It's very psychological. There's a lot of drama that goes on. And even though it's a 240-page graphic novel, it's the smaller of the projects. Like if between the Faeries Tale and Forget Me Not, it's the smaller of the two currently. There are no zombies in the Faeries Tale. I did think about it. I thought about connecting universes and having the Faeries Tale and Forget Me Not occur in the same universe, and whatever happens in the Faeries Tale is actually the precursor to the zombies in Forget Me Not. But I decided against it because I don't like the idea of implementing magic into Forget Me Not's timeline. Even though there's no magic currently in that story, the idea of it existing in a universe that did have magic at some point kind of made me feel a little bit iffy. So these, as far as I'm saying right now, are two separate universes. There's no zombies, there's no gore, there's no psychological warfare. There is a tiny bit of body horror, but think like the Owl House or Gravity Falls level of body horror, not like MA 15 plus or like R-rated body horror that you would see in like a traditional horror film. That being said, I don't feel entirely comfortable saying that The Faeries Tale is going to be a kids show either. We currently don't have any cursing or any excessive language or violence outside of traditional cartoon violence and like the duel like they have at the start of the first episode, but I'm not entirely sure if I feel comfortable saying that this is a kids show just because of some of the things that I would like to explore. It's very difficult to write shows for children in my personal experience. I have a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyment when I can kind of have the cursing, have the blood, have a bit of body horror, have a little bit of mature like relationship drama type stuff. So it's very difficult for me to write a kids show. And I might eventually later on in the season take this story in a bit more of a mature direction. But currently it is not entirely a children's show, maybe like a preteen to teenagers. That would be the main demographic currently. If you want something more mature with a lot more psychology and a lot more drama and a bit of cursing, a bit of body horror, read my graphic novel instead. I'm going to be doing a vlog about my graphic novel soon because there's going to be some huge steps forward regarding that very, very soon. But if you want something that's still got like a tiny bit of drama, it's still got like a tiny, tiny bit of horror elements, but for the most part, it's a relatively lighthearted experience, and you don't want to read, you just want to sit down and watch something, then The Faeries Tale is the project for you. I'm really, really hoping that people who are fans of one of my projects will at least give the other a chance, and they might end up liking both. But because they are very like different in terms of setting and mature rating and stuff like that, I fully understand that some people who like Forget Me Not will not enjoy The Faeries Tale, and vice versa. People who enjoy The Faeries Tale will not enjoy Forget Me Not either. But I really hope you guys enjoy my little goobs. 4 of these 5 characters I have owned for, I think, almost a decade. Jimmy, the brother of Kuro, I believe I have definitely owned for a decade. I think I've had Jimmy for 12 years now. Pandora, I believe, is 10, like on the dot. And Kuro and Alita are 9. They're going to be 10 next year if I've got my dates correct. So I'm really, really happy to finally bring these guys to the limelight and tell a hopefully good story with them. Again, Just last little plug, if you want more on the Faeries Tale, I have a Blue Sky, and on the Blue Sky I have not only a Nobilis Studios feed where you can get stuff related to all of my projects in one place, but I also have a feed for the Faeries Tale specifically. There is not a lot on there at the moment, but considering it's going to be my goal to have this episode finished by the end of the year, at worst case scenario, my birthday next year, I am going to start slowly drip feeding things like work in progress shots, turnarounds, backgrounds, stuff like that. So if that's stuff you're interested in, be sure to check out the Blue Sky. I will definitely do another studio vlog related to this project when the time comes. But for now, I guess that's all I have to say because I got to wrap this up. See ya! Once again, it is the next morning. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad at giving updates at the end of the day. I didn't get as much of Kuro's stills as I wanted to get done, mainly because in the scene that I'm working on, there's a punch that I animated like a while ago where Pandora like kind of winds up and punches Kuro. And as you can see, Kuro is animated frame by frame here, even though earlier in the VOD I said that I wouldn't be doing that. And the reason why is, quite frankly, I like the punch. I think the punch looks really nice. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna keep it. There's gonna be like random scenes that are animated anyway, so why not just have the animated punch? It's gonna look great. And so yeah, I got a bit caught up actually animating Kuro's reaction to the punch as opposed to just continuing on. It's so funny because you see him actually move and react to the punch, and then immediately like back to the still animation. So that's what I was doing yesterday. I've got my little booklet here, which this is gonna look a little confusing, but I will explain. These ones with the X on the top, this is back when I was fully animating the show. These scenes with the X on the top are not being fully animated. The ones that don't have the X's, so scene 2, 4, and 5, are still going to be fully animated, and the only reasons for that is because the line work has already been done, like completely finished for those scenes. And even though the color and the backgrounds and all of that will still take a while for these scenes, the line art is the heaviest part of fully animating a scene, in my opinion. And so because the line work is all done, I'm like, oh, the heavy lifting has already been done for these scenes, so I'm just going to keep these ones. And then all the ones that haven't been lined are not going to be fully animated. And so these are the fully animated scenes. We're going to ignore 3 and then 6 to 12. These ones, I've called them slideshow scenes because that's basically what they are. This is our current progress on that. Realistically, 11 and 12 should also have their roughs done. The reason why I haven't done that is because when I'm looking at this graph, the one with the roughs highlighted doesn't necessarily mean that the roughs are done. It means that's the scene that I'm currently working on. Although I could realistically highlight 11, 12, and 1. The only ones that haven't been roughed are from 6 to 9, I believe. Yes, 6 to 9. Because I'm still waiting on a voice line from scene 6. I've been waiting a couple years for it. I think the VA forgot, so I'm just going to ask them when I get to that scene. But this is what it looks like at the moment. I'm thinking of redrawing this graph and just putting it here and putting all of the scenes together in one graph. But this is what we're currently up to. This is actually, I'll pop it back up here. This is actually like the Faeries Tale like notes book. It's not very thick because mainly I've been focusing on the pilot. Once the pilot's done, we're going to start brainstorming for the rest of the season. Basically, the general idea is I want to have the pilot finished, uploaded, ready to go, and then once the pilot's done, we're going to basically write the scripts for the entirety of the first season. We're going to get all the voice actors to do all of their work for the entire first season in one sitting, and then from there I can just kind of slowly work on the episodes at my own pace. That's currently the plan. But yeah, this is what I was doing yesterday. Today is Friday, so it's the day that I spend with my partner. And it's also Good Friday, so I'm not sure what we're going to be doing today. My partner is not particularly a religious person, but I kind of am, and so I don't want to do anything too crazy today. But we'll see what happens when he wakes up. Because it's Good Friday, I can't, like, in good faith in my own conscience, do any solid work while I'm waiting for him to wake up. So I don't know, I might just sit with my cat and maybe put something on the TV, which is upsetting because I really have the drive to keep working, but it's Good Friday. So yeah, I might see you in a couple of days if I have more animation work to do come Easter Monday. But I'm going to be so honest, Easter Monday I'm probably going to get back into my routine, which means that I'm probably not going to do any animation work again until like next Wednesday. So this might be goodbye. If it is, goodbye. If it's not, I'll see you in a bit.